There are places that take you by surprise, not because you didn't know they existed, but because you thought you already understood them. You had the picture in your mind, you had seen the postcards, you told yourself, yes, I know roughly what that will be. And then you arrive and everything you assumed dissolves. That is Puglia. We are going to spend time here, genuinely exploring, not rushing, not checking boxes. And by the end of this video, we think you will understand exactly why this particular corner of southern Italy has quietly become one of the most talked about destinations in all of Europe. But first, how we got here and why. One of the things that we love most about living in Burgas, Bulgaria is a feeling that took us a while to name. When we lived in Seattle on the west coast of the United States, the world felt very far away. A flight to Hawaii, 6 hours. Mexico, roughly the same. Europe, most of a day with a connection. You planned big trips, months in advance, because every journey was a commitment. Here, it's different, completely different. Look at a map of the world and find Bulgaria. It's just kind of at a crossroads, close enough to the Middle East, to Asia, to all of Western Europe, and even to Africa. Istanbul, one of the fastest growing aviation hubs on the planet, is just a short drive from us. And Sofia, Bulgaria's capital, is only 3.5 hours by road. From Sofia, Europe is practically next door. We found a flight, Sofia to Bari, Italy, for 33 euros one way. 33 euros. By the time we added luggage, seat selection, and the comfort of the exit row, the round trip for both of us came to about $400 for 2 people, return to Sofia. It's April and spring has just arrived in Bulgaria. The trees are filling out, flowers pushing through the soil, that particular softness in the air that only comes in the weeks before summer settles in. We had just returned from South America, and yes, you will find that Iguazu video linked below if you haven't seen it. And in May, we're heading to China. April was supposed to be Oman. We had looked forward to it, but the region is unsettled right now. We have learned over many years of travel that some moments call for flexibility. So we looked at the map, looked at the weather, and Bari won. Warmest temperatures, best sunshine, and a place we had visited once before, briefly, incompletely, and we always wanted to go back to. On our world cruise, we docked in Bari for a single afternoon. 3 hours of actual free time. 3 hours. You walk off the ship, the clock is already running, and you know you have to be back before it sails. We walked through the old town, did some filming, and that was it. Beautiful, but like reading the first chapter of a book and then having someone close it for you. This time, we're reading the whole thing. The flight from Sofia is 1 hour. 1 hour. We were barely at cruising altitude before we began our descent. We will say this about the landing. It was memorable. A strong Adriatic wind, 70, maybe 75 kilometers per hour, was pushing hard across the runway. The pilot was fighting it. You could feel the aircraft correcting again, the nose pushing left, the wing dipping. For a moment approaching the tarmac, we both had the same thought, and neither of us said it out loud. The touchdown was hard, the kind that earns a round of nervous, relieved applause from the cabin. We looked at each other. We were in Puglia. In Bari, the taxi from the airport has a flat rate, 28 euros to the city center. No meters running, no negotiating, no guessing. You agree, you go, you arrive. This is the kind of small, practical detail that matters more than it sounds when you have just landed somewhere new. Our apartment sat right at the entrance to the old town. The walking street, the one that runs straight toward the train station, sat just outside our front door. It's exactly the kind of location that takes 10 minutes to appreciate, and then you spend the rest of the trip grateful for it. Well, we made it to Bari, hour and 5 minutes from Sofia, but we're here. There's 70 kilometers an hour right now, wind, and I think we were the last flight to land. It was a hard landing. That's the first time I've been scared, actually really scared on a plane. But we're here, and this is an absolutely beautiful apartment. We got it on booking.com, and it's right in the old town. We're gonna go out for a walk in a few minutes and explore the old town. But you couldn't have beat the location and how nice it is. It's all brand new, all renovated. So it features a full-size bed, king bed, and everything is new. I like the decor. So luckily we're here for 3 days, and so we're gonna do a lot of exploring of the old town, plus we're gonna take some side trips from here. But we were here for only 3 hours from the cruise ship, so a big difference. We wanted to come back, and we are. Even has a balcony. Our first walk through the old quarter of Bari felt entirely different from August on the cruise. Back then, the heat was extraordinary. The streets were empty in the middle of the day. Shutters were closed. The town doing what Mediterranean towns have always done, resting until the sun loses its edge. Now in April, it was different. There were fewer tourists, a warm wind moving through the narrow lanes, and a particular kind of quietness that felt like an invitation rather than an absence. The old town of Bari, the Bari Vecchia, is one of those places where the architecture itself tells you everything. These limestone streets, some of them barely wide enough for 2 people to pass comfortably, have been here for 1,000 years. The stone walls absorb the light differently in every hour of the day. Pale gold at noon, deep amber in the evening, and at night when the lamps come on, the shadows make the whole neighborhood feel suspended in time. Laundry still hangs from the upper balconies. Old women sit in doorways watching the street with the calm authority of people who have been doing exactly this for decades. That evening, the Passegiata, the Italian tradition of the evening walk, was in full effect. The main street filled with people, dressed properly for the occasion, moving slowly, greeting each other, stopping to talk. This is not a performance for tourists. This is just how life runs here. We found a seafood restaurant in the old quarter. Bari sits on the Adriatic and has been a major fishing port for centuries. And the fish on the table that night reflected exactly that. Fresh, simply prepared, not fussed over. The kind of meal that makes you realize that some of the best cooking in the world has always been the most straightforward. A local white wine, conversation, then a slow walk back through the streets that in the lamplight looked like something from a film that nobody had made yet. The old town in the morning is a different world from the old town at night. The shops were open. Vegetable sellers had stacked their crates on the cobblestones. A fruit vendor was arranging tomatoes with the particular care that Italians seem to apply to food at every stage of its journey. The coffee shops were busy in the Italian way. The people were standing at the bar. They're not sitting. A quick espresso or cappuccino, a pastry, conversation, and then back to the street. There is a pace to morning in a southern Italian town. It's both efficient and deeply unhurried at the same time. We had our breakfast the same way. Cappuccino, a piece of local pastry, watching the neighborhood move around us. It costs almost nothing. It feels like the most civilized way to start a day. After breakfast, we walked to the Basilica di San Nicola. Our plan was to arrive early, before the tour groups, before the organized chaos. If you're traveling anywhere in Europe and there is a famous church on your list, go first thing in the morning. The light is better, the quiet is real, and you can actually stand still for a moment and feel where you are. Now, most people, when they hear the name St. Nicholas, think of one thing: red coat, white beard, December, presents. That association runs so deep that it can be hard to remember there was an actual person behind it. a 4th century bishop from what is now southern Turkey, who became one of the most revered saints in Christian history. The Nicholas of legend, the one we know from the stories, was generous beyond measure, often giving anonymously, often at great personal cost. The gift-giver image came from him, but so did something much bigger. For the Eastern Orthodox world, Bulgaria, Greece, Russia, Serbia, St. Nicholas is not a seasonal figure. He is one of the most important saints in the entire calendar. He is a patron of sailors, of travelers, of the poor. And he, as it happens, the patron saint of our own hometown, Burgas. St. Nicholas Day in Burgas is a proper celebration, taken seriously and celebrated fully. So standing in front of this basilica in Bari was not a neutral experience for us. The story of how St. Nicholas ended up in Bari is itself remarkable. He died in the 4th century in Mare in what is now Turkey. For centuries, his remains rested there. But in 1087, a group of sailors from Bari, motivated by a mix of devotion and, it must be said, commercial ambition, sailed to Mare and brought his relics back to Puglia. The city of Bari built the basilica specifically to hold them. For over 900 years, pilgrims have been making their way here from across the Christian world. The Russian connection is significant. For centuries, the Russian Orthodox pilgrims traveled to Bari to pray at the tomb of St. Nicholas. They contributed financially to the basilica. There is a copper plaque near the entrance that acknowledges this. And in front of the church, in one corner, stands a statue of the saint. We looked at the inscription beneath it and stopped. The name was written in Cyrillic. Standing in a medieval Italian church courtyard, reading our own alphabet carved into stone, was one of those small moments of unexpected connection that travel sometimes gives you and that you never quite forget. Inside, the basilica is everything the exterior promises. The crypt, where the relics are kept, sits below the main floor. Cool, ancient, lit by candles. It's genuinely a moving space, not because of the art of the architecture, though both are exceptional, because what you feel when you stand there, the weight of 1,000 years of human faith accumulated in one room. One of the things that makes Bari an ideal base is the train. Italian regional rail is inexpensive, frequent, and connects you to the coast in a way that no car rental can match for ease. The ticket to Polignano and Mare, €6.20. The journey, 30 minutes. Polignano and Mare is famous. You have almost certainly seen a photograph of it without knowing the name. That small cove beach, enclosed on every side by limestone cliffs, old buildings growing directly out of the rock above. It has appeared in everything from postcards to international advertising campaigns to the opening shots of films about Italy. It is one of those images, so widely produced, that has become almost abstract. Well, we just got off the train. It was a 30-minute ride, and we're heading down to the waterfront. Basically, the entire train got off. So it's April 14th today, and there's already a lot of people coming in. Perfect time of year, 70 degrees today.
It's on Tuesday, imagine.
Tuesday.
Summertime, yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love the neat little restaurants. Oh my gosh, look at this. What's going on down there? Oh, they're doing a movie. See? And then you stand on the bridge above it and realize it is entirely real. The best view of Polignano is not from the beach, but from above, from the bridge, from the viewpoints on either side of the cove. You see the whole picture at once. The vertical cliffs, the old town balanced on their edge, the water below shifting between green and deep blue, depending on the light. On the left side of the cove, there is a small piazza, a kind of open terrace, centered on a statue of a man who, it turned out, was born in this town and gave Italy one of its most beloved songs. Domenico Modugno, whose Volare, released in 1958, won the Sanremo Festival, won 2 Grammys, sold millions of copies, and became, for a generation, the sound of Italy itself. He grew up playing on these cliffs, looking at this water. You can understand why the song sounds the way it does. From the right side of the cove, you get the other famous view, the whole beach visible below. The bridge behind it, the old town stacked above. It is a composition that nature and several centuries of building seem to have arrived at together. We walked the narrow streets for a while. Small boutique hotels with sea-facing terraces. Restaurants carved directly into the cliff face. Somewhere below a window, waves crashing against a rock. There is a beauty here that is inseparable from its own imperfection. The slightly crooked walls, the uneven stone, the buildings that look less constructed than grown. It's not polished. That is precisely the point. A few minutes further on the train, Monopoli. These 2 towns, Polignano and Monopoli, were once connected, part of the same coastal settlement, before they separated into distinct identities. Today they sit close enough to visit together in a single day, and the contrast between them is part of what makes the combination satisfying. Monopoli is a fishing port, seriously and historically. The harbor is working. It's not decorative. Fishing vessels still come and go. The industry that built this town still runs in it, though tourism has begun to quietly outpace it. Walking along the harbor and watching the boats, the nets, the fishermen moving with the particular unhurried certainty of people who have done the same work their whole lives. This is a different rhythm from Polignano's cliffs and viewpoints. The old town here has a charm that rewards wandering without an agenda. We had lunch, a coffee, sat for a while watching people pass. Monopoli does not announce itself. It does not compete for your attention. It simply exists gracefully, in a way that Italian towns of a certain age often do. Our last full day based in Bari, we took a different direction, inland, away from the coast, toward a different kind of Puglia entirely. Altamura is a small hill town, and it was quiet when we arrived, a soft morning rain, still tapering off, the forecast promising clearance by noon. The old part of town is compact. A few streets, the cathedral, the familiar geometry of a medieval Italian center. We looked at the cathedral as you do, but it was not what we had come for. Altamura is home to what is widely regarded as one of the oldest continuously operating bakeries in the world. The exact claim varies depending on who is telling the story. Oldest in Europe, oldest in Italy, oldest in the region, but the essential fact is not. The same oven in the same location has been baking bread for 900 years. The recipe is ancient. The technique is unchanged. The wood fire burns the same way it always has. We are bread people. This bakery was never going to be something we walked past. Inside, the bread was there. But what stopped us was a focaccia. Here in Puglia, focaccia is not a side item. Thick, dimpled, olive oil soaked, topped simply and perfectly. Different varieties, all of them extraordinary. We tried more than one. But the real story about this bakery is not the bread, it's the people who make it. The 2 women who run it, by any reasonable measure, impossible. One is over 100 years old. The other is in her late 90s. She had her makeup on. She was dressed properly. Someone nearby was photographing her. And she received the attention with being the most interesting thing in the room. From Altamura, we continue to Matera. Nothing prepares you for Matera. The approach is ordinary enough. You're driving through flat farmland. And then suddenly the land opens up and you're looking into a ravine of extraordinary depth. And built into the walls of that ravine, stacked in the layers from the valley floor, all the way to the ridge, are thousands of dwellings cut directly into the rock. Stone upon cave, a city growing out of the earth itself, not placed on top of it. These are the Sassi di Matera, the stone neighborhoods. People have been living in these caves continuously for longer than almost any other inhabited site in the world. Some estimates say 9,000 years. This is not a number that processes easily. When you are standing on the ridge looking down at the layers of carved stone, you are looking at the longest continuously inhabited human settlement in Europe. For most of the 20th century, the Sassi were considered a national embarrassment. In the 1950s, the Italian government forcibly relocated the remaining residents, tens of thousands of people, to new housing built outside the ravine. Running water, electricity, modern facilities. The caves were abandoned and left to crumble. The writer Carlo Levi had described Matera as a disgrace, a place of poverty so extreme that it shamed the nation. For decades, the name carried that weight. Then, slowly, something shifted. People began to look at what had been abandoned and see something extraordinary. Architects, historians, artists arrived. The caves were cleaned, restored, and converted. Hotels appeared inside former cave dwellings. Restaurants opened in spaces that had been homes a century before. In 1993, UNESCO named the Sassi a World Heritage Site. In 2019, Matera was a European capital of culture. It has also appeared in film in ways that have shaped how the world sees it. Mel Gibson chose Matera as the setting for Jerusalem in The Passion of the Christ. More recently, the opening sequence of the James Bond film No Time to Die was shot here. When you walk the streets and recognize the light, the angles, the stone, it clicks into place. Walking Sassi is not entirely easy. The streets are steep. The cobblestones are uneven. There are stairs, many of them. We recommend taking the walk at a genuine pace. Stop often. Sit when you need to. The reward is consistent. Every level you reach opens a new angle, a new layer of the city below you. Many visitors walk the perimeter, look from above, take the photographs, and then they move on. That view is remarkable. But if you can manage the descent into the lower Sassi, even part of it, the experience is entirely different. You are inside the city, not above it. The stone around you is not a backdrop. It is present, immediate. The caves that were once homes, you can look through the doorways, see the single rooms where families of several generations lived together, the alcoves carved for animals on one side and sleeping on the other, the absence of any division between human life and rock. It is, in the simplest possible terms, astonishing. Some places make history feel very close. Matera makes it feel immediate. We have been to many places. We have been surprised more times than we expected. Puglia surprised us. In the next video, we move south, Lecce, and from there, we explore the lower part of Puglia, a region with its own distinct character. We hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, the like button genuinely helps this channel reach more people who travel the way we do, curiously, without rushing. Leave us a comment and tell us where you are watching from, or whether you have been to Puglia and what you thought. We love hearing from you. See you in the next video.